It's freaking Star Wars, baby!
All right, I'm going to go ahead and give you the spoiler warning now. There will be spoilers for the Star Wars Ahsoka series Episode 7 directly following this. Still here? All right, let's get into it. All right, as I said, the Star Wars Ahsoka series Episode 7 is out. And every week on Tuesday when they post a new episode, I'm just blown away. I don't know what else to say. I don't know how else to say it, but I'm blown away. Are there issues with it? Sure, there are issues with it. There are issues with everything ever released in cinema, TV, or movies. Everything. Name me one thing that doesn't have an issue with it. And what, like The Wizard of Oz is considered one of the greatest classics of all time, but it has plastic flowers. Doesn't mean it's a bad movie, just means it has plastic flowers. But this week in Ahsoka, we got the second cameo of Anakin Skywalker in his Clone Wars attire and haircut, and he looks amazing. They did such a better job on his CGI with his de-aging in this than they did the Kenobi series. In the Kenobi series, he looked like the 40-year-old Padawan, but I still enjoyed his presence there. And the second cameo was none other than C-3PO himself, who has been in just about every major Star Wars event that I can think of. I mean, he was in Rebels, he was in the Clone Wars, he was in Rogue One, or of course the original 6 films, and the sequel trilogy, which nobody wants to talk about right now, but C-3PO has been there. But before I go on with my review and reaction of Ahsoka Episode 7, please consider hitting that subscribe button, liking the video, and sharing it. This is a positive place for Star Wars fans, and I'm enjoying the community we have built. Check out the comments and see if you have your own comments to leave as well. We don't love everything Star Wars that's ever been produced, but we all love Star Wars. So, consider subscribing. Now let's get back to Ahsoka Episode 7, where a big part of the theme is it's complicated, as it says in my thumbnail. And as Sabine says a couple times, and I think Ezra says it a couple times as well, it's complicated. But something that isn't complicated is the presence of Leia Organa, or Princess Leia if you prefer, or Leia Solo perhaps at this time. I don't know. Did she change her name? I don't know. But her presence, she isn't even in the show, but her mention just brings that light that we remember from the original Star Wars films. It brings that happiness and joy, and it has such a weight when you use her name in anything Star Wars, whether she's shown on screen or not. Now, some people will say that it's pure fan service that she was even mentioned in the show, and perhaps they're right, and I don't think so, though. With her being the head of the Defense Council, I don't see a reason why she wouldn't be in it, considering Hera is in charge of the Defense Fleet. She is a general. She's in charge of it. Makes sense that Leia would be in it. All right? Made it clear? But yes, Leia being in this episode or being mentioned in this episode is huge. And C-3PO being in it, huge as well. Why wouldn't he? He was in Rebels and the Clone Wars. Makes sense to me. And Mon Mothma knows who C-3PO is. Of course she does. He was at the meeting above Endor prior to its invasion. But we all know how that turned out. He got treated as a golden god sat on a throne and then floated around a little bit to save Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and company. And that makes C-3PO by all rights a hero of Endor. Yeah, I said it. He was a hero. Let it go. Now let's move on to the next topic, which is Grand Admiral Thrawn, seeming to be one step ahead, but really being right next to his opponent. Come on, let's get Thrawn better. Let's get him looking better. The guy's smarter than this. But he did do his job in trying to distract Ahsoka and Sabine and Ezra long enough to get his cargo loaded on so they could escape Peridea. I know a lot of people are going to say this makes Thrawn look inept, but no, it does not. Thrawn does not have a purpose on this planet. He needs to leave the planet to fulfill what he sees as his destiny in the normal galaxy. I call it the normal galaxy. I don't know why. It just makes sense to me. But Thrawn's purpose is in our favorite galaxy far, far away. Not in this one. Now, Balin Skoll, on the other hand, he feels his destiny and his fate lie in Peridia. And now a lot of people I've seen in the comments of my other video have said that Abeloth this, Abeloth that, Shin Hati's going to be the vessel for Abeloth, Abeloth, and Balin Skoll's going to possess her with Abeloth. Well, looks like Balin Skoll just cut her loose, told her go be part of the new empire. I have something else I'm going to do over here. But Shin Hati is not pleased with that decision. She wanted him to join her in going after Ezra and Sabine, but alas, he did not, leaving her to feel she's all alone. And it's complicated. Yes, Shin Hati felt abandoned, alone, like she had to go after these two perceived Jedi on her own, and while they're being protected by these weird little snail, turtle, crab people. And it wasn't until the Imperial troops showed up that Thrawn sent after them that she felt like she was actually a part of something, that she was a part of this empire that Balin Skoll told her to go join, until they up and left her. Again, she's left all alone, feeling abandoned. Now, I said that Shin Hati in another video that she would have a change of heart, that she's questioning what's going on with Balin Skoll, the Empire, Thrawn, and everything else. Why they're going against their word to allow Sabine to be with Ezra. Why are they doing that? She's questioning it. Now, I said she would have a change of heart, and I was hoping it would come with this episode, but it did not. It kind of looked like she was starting to think about it, but then she turned and ran. Okay? It may not happen at all, and I'm okay with that. Speculation is not soothsaying. I'm not some kind of magician. I can't tell what's actually going to happen. I just use clues that's laid out in front of me, but I still think Shin Hati has a lot more story to tell. And I don't think her story is going to end in this season of Ahsoka. I think it may end in the next season or even in the Mandalorian movie. Now, whether or not she will become the new Mara Jade or not, that's to be seen. I don't really see any kind of clues pointing to that. That's why I didn't talk about it before. If you guys want to think she's going to become Mara Jade, then more power to you. I'm glad for you, and I hope that works out for you. Honestly, I do. But truth be told, George Lucas was not a fan of Mara Jade. He thought Luke Skywalker should have remained celibate and single and not had kids. He didn't hate Mara Jade. He just didn't think it was the right choice. It's in many interviews. You can look it up. But who wrote this series? The Ahsoka series, that is? Dave Filoni. None other than George Lucas's protege. Now, George Lucas would have communicated, I don't really like Mara Jade. Let's not use her in anything. But George Lucas also wanted Ahsoka Tano killed in the Clone Wars. So, we'll see. I don't think Dave Filoni's going to go that far against anything George Lucas taught him, or maybe he did. But I want to go back to the Abeloth thing. And I don't think Shin Hati is going to become the Abeloth character. Not because I don't want it to happen, but because I just don't see it really happening. But if it does happen, I'm glad for you. And I'm not mad at anybody that says that that's going to happen, because it could. Anything can happen. Like I said, this isn't soothsaying. It's just speculation and a little bit of guesswork. Well, a lot of guesswork. Lots of guesswork. But my biggest concern with this episode is why Sabine is not telling Ezra how she found him, how she got there, so on and so forth. I mean, he could probably figure it out. The Empire's there, Thrawn's there, and this new ship arrived somewhere, and here's Sabine. Okay? She rode with him. He's not going to be mad about it. He's going to say, okay, you did what you had to do to find me. Now you found me. Now let's get the hell out of here. Now, I think Sabine should know Ezra pretty well from the past and know he's a little bit more forgiving than she thinks. He was taught by Kanan Jarrus. But I think the biggest takeaway I have from this, and my favorite thing of all of it, is Ahsoka Tano saying that Anakin Skywalker was a great master. Because that's contrary to what he became. He became this evil evildoer. I don't know how else to say it, but he became this evil persona of Anakin Skywalker that the galaxy hated and that just killed people just because. But she's talking about Anakin Skywalker, the redeemed person. And it's good to bring Anakin Skywalker back into that light as a good person, because we saw him as such a bad person for so long, but he was redeemed. And now it's time to talk about the good that was in him, since the bad that was in him died. Another good point of this episode was that now it gave us a timeline. This is after what happened to Mandalore, what happened on Mandalore, because they talked about it. They said that Moff Gideon was just a warlord, not connected to any bigger Imperial remnant, which we all know is a lie, because, he had a conference with the rest of the Imperial remnant leadership, and they talked about Thrawn and cloning and so on and so forth. But now we have a timeline for this. And since Carson Teva was the one who brought the subject up, it makes me think that it was not the purge of Mandalore, but rather the retaking of Mandalore and the destruction of Moff Gideon. So that tells me that this episode is happening after the events of Season 3 of The Mandalorian. Possibly directly after, like minutes after even. Now, I am really thoroughly enjoying this Ahsoka series. I tend to blank my mind of all expectations or whatever before going into watching a show, even an episode. I don't think about what I want to see. I think about what they're going to present to me. And I'm really enjoying the way they're presenting Ahsoka. I think Dave Filoni's doing a bang-up job. And by the comments of my other videos, I can see most of you think the same thing. But I want to hear about it in the comments. What did you think about this episode? Was it as good as the other ones? Did it pack in a lot in that 39 minutes? Or did it leave you wanting more? Or wanting something different even? Let me know. I'd love to hear from you. And before I go, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications. Hit the like button, share the video with some Star Wars friends, or better yet, share it with some friends of Star Trek. Yeah, if those fans of Star Trek see this, maybe they'll flip to this side of this fence. Who knows? Well, I am planning on making more videos on this episode and the Ahsoka series as a whole. We only have one episode left, and it's going to be bittersweet. I don't want it to end, but I want to see how this ends. But I know it's going to end on a cliffhanger, so I'm going to have to wait like at least 2 years before I see anything else on it. Man. All right. Until the next video, this is Gerald, a Star Wars fanatic, signing off, wishing you all great health, happiness, and peace. Thank you all for watching, and remember, this is the way, and positivity in the Star Wars universe is the only way.